course, most of you know me as Mrs. Claus, and we are continuing to count down those magical days until Christmas, all of this December from the 1st through the 25th by doing a different recipe each day, and all of the recipes are sweet and treat recipes from my family's recipe box. So we are going to check our advent calendar and see what we've got in store for today. So today is December 10th, and we are doing, my mom's Almond Thumbprint Cookies. These are really similar to the Chinese Almond Cakes that you can find, but just a little bit different. So let me get my hands washed and get the ingredients out. We will get started today. Now remember, if you'd like to follow along with the full ingredients list and the recipe, then you can go to www.crafterscountdown.com and find the recipes there. All right, give me just a moment. I have put some water on to boil because we need to blanch some almonds, and I've got some whole raw almonds here. Now, you can get almonds in the store that are already blanched, and that's probably a little more convenient for a lot of people, but for those of us who are harvesting off of trees, that's not an option. We take our almonds, and so in just a moment when this water is boiling, I will show you what we do next. Okay, my water's boiling. Now we have to kind of work quickly here. First, I'm going to drop the almonds into the boiling water, and then I'm going to quickly take them to the sink and drain them, and then come back and drop the almonds into cold water. I've put a couple of ice cubes in the bowl for the colds just to make sure it's cold enough, and then I'll be able to show you what we do next. So come on in close so you can see what's going on. Water, and what this does is allows us to peel the skin off of the outside of the almonds, and it makes them a little bit softer and just a little bit sweeter as well. So I will peel these off. Peeled almond, or blanched almond as it were. Now I'm going to save these in this container for our cooking. I made an extra large batch of these because we're going to need some for tomorrow also. So if you're blanching along with me, go ahead and add an extra 2/3 of a cup to what we need for today. And don't forget that those skins that come off of these almonds are biodegradable, so they go over into the compost. So I will go ahead and finish this up and be right back with you. All right, I've got the almonds peeled, blanched, and now those of you who've received cookie trays from my mom for Christmas may notice that she didn't bother with this part. She just went ahead and put them on unblanched. And you know what? I think that kind of makes it a little bit pretty also, because you've got that darker almond on top of the light cookies. But we'll make a couple each way and you can be the judge, okay? Now it's time to get the cookie dough ready. Our first step is, as so often is the case, butter. Lots and lots of butter in our recipes here. This time, these use quite a bit. Right, and of course we have left it out so that it's room temperature because that makes it easier to cream. And to that we're going to go ahead and add our sugar and some yummy almond extract. This is one of those smells that I absolutely adore also. Very, very yummy. Right. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. And we're going to cream this together. Remember, you can do this by muscle and brawn if you don't have one of these fancy mixers or an electric mixer. All right, give this just a second here. Oh, I can smell that almond extract coming out from there. It smells so yummy. Now we need to separate an egg. What does that mean? So this was a gift from my Uncle Wayne to my mom. She said that she cherished it, so she let me borrow it for today. So the fun thing about this little smiley is that it helps to separate the egg white from the egg yolk. Now, some people are really talented and they're able to just do it in the shell itself. I'm not one of those people, so I need a little extra help. Now, there are other tools that do this as well. This is how we do with this one. So, set that aside for compost. And what we're going to do is just tip this aside and the whites go into the bowl in the bottom while the yolk stays in the top one. And it separates it like that. Okay, now we need to use this for the top of our cookies. So set this aside. And this goes into our mixer, right? And to that, we also need to add our salt, our finely chopped nuts. These are almonds. Now, I went ahead and used the food processor so that they're super fine. You don't want big chunks in there, so make sure you get those as fine as you can. And then I'm going to go ahead and slowly add the flour so it doesn't puff up everywhere. So give me just a second here. Okay, give this a little bit of an extra mix to make sure the flour is stirred in with everything. Stuff that came up on the sides. I do love a soft rubber spatula for cooking. Once again, we need to grease our cookie sheet so that nothing sticks to it. A lot of people use those spray kinds to grease things. I just try to avoid the aerosols. I know they have some good pump sprayers. That would be good. I have one of those when I use olive oil in my cooking with pump spray. Right. And then what we're going to do is, this is fun. It's a bit like an ice cream scoop. It's got the little mechanism inside of there that gets the stuff out for you, but it helps you scoop things into a consistent size. So put those into a little ball. Again, a little bit crumbly to roll hard. It'll fall apart, so you've got to kind of squish it instead. Get a tray full of these together. And we need to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. So give me just a second to take care of that. All right, so we have our cookies on the tray. Next, we need to take just a glass and dip it in sugar and very lightly press these down just a little bit. You don't want to squish them too hard. They do crack a little bit. Getting ready for the thumbprint part, right? Like, why are they called thumbprint cookies? You're going to see in just a moment. Now, the sugar gives a little bit of extra sweetness and taste, but it also helps make sure that nothing sticks. So, though I do believe there was enough butter in there, nothing would be too sticky. Now, what we're going to do is take our little thumbprint, that's kind of what this almond looks like, place it in the top of the cookie and give it a little extra squish. So we're going to do that with each of these. If one of the cookies kind of cracks a little bit too much, that's okay. Give it a little tap to pull it back together. Not a problem. And now that we have a thumbprint thumbprint in the top of each of our cookies. We're going to take our egg whites that we set aside and a little brush and go ahead and brush the top of each of our cookies with a little bit of the egg white. This will help hold that little almond in place, but it also gives your cookie a beautiful shine as it cooks. Makes it real pretty when you take it out. So we'll do that with each of these. And then after we brush with egg whites, we're going to sprinkle with just a little bit more sugar on top of these to give it a nice glaze and to sweeten it up just a little bit. These are not very sweet cookies like we can be used to, so they're a perfect accompaniment to nice coffee or a nice tea. And next we will place these in the oven for 8 to 12 minutes. We need to keep an eye on them. We want them to just barely be turning golden brown, not very dark at all. Those look done. And they look yummy. Right. Then we will put these on the cooling rack so they cool. You know, the important thing about a cooling rack is if you allow the cookies to cool on the hot baking sheet, then what can happen is the bottoms of the cookies will continue to brown, and then you'll end up possibly with burnt-bottomed cookies, and the tops of them will be perfect. All right, well, that's it for today. I will go ahead. I've got another batch in the oven that has the dark almonds that haven't been blanched, so you can see the difference when I do the pictures at the end. I'd like to thank you so much for joining me. Remember to blanch some extra almonds for tomorrow when we will do our next recipe for December 11th. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye-bye.